Hello. We're here for this live event to discuss the new or the updated training that we've been working on, which is the fundamentals of leading within a network. My name's Ben. I'll do a very quick introduction. I'm Ben. I've worked with Decathlon UK for 11 years. And more recently, I've worked with Decathlon Exchange on a part-time basis to have a mission here in Decathlon Exchange for the last 3 years. I've got Koen next to me. You want to do a quick introduction?
And so my name is Koen from the Netherlands. Been working at Decathlon since 2005, and I worked at Decathlon Exchange from 2013 to 2015 for 2.5 years. And Ben asked me to help him in his network to recreate this training as an expert, in this case, on the old version of the training that I gave him a lot of time. So that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Perfect. So the objective of this live stream is to explain about this new training, how we came to actually change the old training, managing without hierarchy, how we've tried to work as a network with many different countries, and then also to explain to you what the content of the training is and what the next steps will be. So just to give you a little bit of a background to it, like I said, over the last 3 years, I've been working with various countries on any topics human. So the old classic develop my team 1, develop my team 2, and especially in the last year, I've been visiting some countries, the Netherlands, Hong Kong, Australia, where they've accelerated very quickly with the human transformation. And they challenged me on the fact that some of the classic Decathlon Exchange trainings were maybe needed to be updated to suit their needs. And in fact, it was during a visit of Decathlon Australia, where Danny, who was the store leader at the time, I was there to actually give the coaching training, but he really challenged me on the content of the old training that Koen mentioned, which is managing without hierarchy. And he said, okay, this is a good training, but I really need it adapting to the needs of Australia. So I think we have a pre-recorded video of Danny. I hope the technical issues will allow it. If not, I'll just pretend to be Danny for a minute.
Hi everyone, I'm Danny and I work for Decathlon in Australia. I'm here to speak a little bit about the change that we've made in the training, managing without hierarchy, to leading within a network. When we opened Australia, we had this unique opportunity to be organised by sport from the very beginning. So we created the sport leader structure in store. That meant that we had to find a way to assist the sport leader to have a network. The first thing we said is they need good coaching. So we organised some coaching training with Ben. And what we ended up doing is speaking with Ben about the ways to work better in network. So I said, what about if we think about the managing without hierarchy training and in the new system? So we began to think, how can we change it? So I started to work on a little bit of consultancy with Ben because I'm passionate on the topic. And over a 3-month period, along with 7 other countries, I think 7 other countries, we've managed to update the training to something much more linked to the new system. He actually ran the training for the first time here in Australia, and the feedback was exceptional. Due to this, Ben continued to work on it, and now I'm so happy to see that it's being implemented in Decathlon. It's going to make a massive difference from before because it really teaches the sense of how somebody builds their own network. Hope you enjoy the live event and see you all soon. Thanks.
So maybe someone can chat just to make sure that you saw that video. With the technical issues, I'm not sure if it came through and you could hear it okay. But just to give you a quick summary. So yeah, Danny was, I hate to boost his ego so much, but he was the inspiration behind this change because he really challenged me on the fact that the needs of Decathlon Australia were very different with the sport leader. So the night before, he got it? Okay. The night before, I think he bought me a couple of beers and said, okay, this training's great, but we need to change it in the next 2 or 3 hours. And then since that, we've worked together as a network. I think there's been about 14 of us from about 8 or 9 different countries. It's really been kind of a network of our own. And it's taken us about 3 months to adapt the content of the old managing without hierarchy to this new fundamentals of leading within a network. So it's something that here at Decathlon Exchange we're really proud of. And just maybe to explain a little bit about how the networks worked over the last few months, Koen's going to talk a little bit about his involvement.
Yeah. So I saw just a question of Ben, I think it was on Google Plus as well via email. Look, we're going to rewrite this training. Would you be interested to help us to rewrite this training? And of course, as I used to give the training a lot, I thought there was a lot of things we could improve, and it was a nice opportunity. So for me, it was really easy to join the network for this training, and the amount of time wasn't huge. So Ben always sent the updates and put some questions. Okay, what do you think we should do about this, about this, about this? And it wasn't so much as taking decisions. This was really his role. He decided, as in giving my opinion, my role as a referent. Why did we do the things? Why would I change the things? But also with my experience as trainer in Decathlon Exchange to say, okay, be careful, pay attention to this part. Do you have enough time on this part? Do you think this will work if we link it there to there? And all of those small details, which for me were mainly spending half an hour to an hour just reading, reflecting, and sending a feedback, and then taking decisions behind that. Do I take the comments of Koen or not, and how do I implement them in the training? And that's it. So it didn't take a lot of time, but it gave me a lot of pleasure to do this.
Okay, and there's just one other video that we'd like to link to, because again, I'm really proud of the fact that this is a training by users for users. So Koen explained that he was in kind of a referent mode for some quick questions when I needed it and some feedback. You've heard from Danny, who was a kind of consultant throughout the 3 months. And we also have a video, I hope, from Vidjoy, who was really passionate in India. And he, in fact, took the lead for one of the modules and had complete freedom to create whatever he wanted to. So I hope we have something ready.
I see.
Hi guys, this is Vijay from India, and I had a great time working with a couple of our guys from other countries, and also along with Ben, in terms of changing the so-called management without hierarchy training to working in a network mode. It was quite important because the organization itself is changing. It's not top-down management anymore, and we use the best of people, the best of network that we have to ensure that our projects are quite successful. And I like the creative part of it, so I have asked Ben if I could change the module. If you know the whole module, we had what is happening, and it was just not so vital image, so we wanted to change it to something which was quite sporty. So I had great time working and designing this. If you could see this, is what is happening, and also I've given another option to see what is happening. So these were the two things that I've actually worked on. It was good time, and also in terms of there was a communication module as well. So I love football, so I had adapted the story in terms of football, and I don't want to disclose it now. I think you should check the module and find it out. I had a great time working with it, working on this topic. Hope to see you all enjoying the module, and hope to see you also. Bye.
So I hope you could hear the video from Vidjoy. But again, this was someone that was super passionate on the topic and actually got in contact with me and said, Ben, I really want to be involved from this in any way that's helpful. He had maybe more time to be able to concretely work on it. So in fact, he took 2 of the modules. We agreed, okay, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And then he went away for maybe 2 or 3 weeks to work on it with the team in India. And then he sent it back, and then we shared it with the group to have feedback. The 2 pictures that he saw, that he created, we threw it out to the network and said, okay, which one do we like out of the 14 of us? So I'm really proud about the involvement of Vidjoy and of course, Koen, who's here with me today. So this is how we've created the training. We really think we have a diverse group of us from different countries. So the road book that we're going to launch with you, I think, will reflect that. In terms of what the content is, so Koen explained, we've taken the old managing without hierarchy training, and like Danny said, actually the content of this training was excellent. And maybe we saw a gap in the market was as the company moves more and more to a flatter structure, actually the managing without hierarchy becomes even more and more important. But we just kind of moved the title towards thinking more of network. And then we thought about, okay, what type of things need to be adapted in the old training to suit the needs of the sport leader in the stores or around the world. So in terms of content, we've tried to make it a blended learning. So here in Decathlon Exchange, not just in this training, but we're trying to become more and more digital and try not to put such a heavy one day. So there's a module that people will complete before they come to the training online. And then there'll actually be content after the training. So 14 days after the training, you'll get an automatic email from the trainer that will just say, hey, you had a great day on the training on the 30th, but what concretely can you do in your stores or in your services? So we've tried to make it more blended. We obviously, first of all, attack the topic of network and why this can be an important strategy for Decathlon moving forward. And in terms of the modules, the main modules that we look at is, as a leader, how can we create a network? What players do we need? What teammates do we need to be involved? And then after we have our teammates, what kind of environment can we create where people want to contribute, people want to add value? So that's one of the modules. The second one is, okay, now we have our team. How can we create a project and actually attack this project with almost kind of a retro planning? So it's how to build and imply a project with our teams. And then we look at communication. One of the things we discussed as 14, 15 of us, and personally one thing I've discovered by leading this network is that communication is going to become even more and more important as we go into network mode, because potentially you won't have the proximity with your teammates. Over the last 3 months, I've been working with Koen here in France and Vidjoy in India and Danny in Australia, Leanne in the Netherlands. So the way we communicate as a group becomes even more important. So this is a big topic of the training. And then one of the modules that we keep is linked to the human. Okay, as a leader of a network, do I understand my teammates and how I can maybe adapt to the needs of my teammates so that I can get the most of them? So in terms of the content, they're the main blocks that we cover. Maybe Koen, you can explain what out of the content that you've looked at, which do you think is the most important for us moving forward as a company?
Well, how spontaneous.
Yes, we hadn't planned this question at all.
So for me, the main point of this training is also the main point that was missing in the last training. It's the communication part. And for me, it's something that's the least clear of all points when we talk about managing without hierarchical link, which was the old training and which is a lot clearer now in the network, is the fact we don't communicate the same always ever. There's different ways of communication, there's different strategies, and there's different needs also from the team. As I explained before, sometimes when we write a project, it needs to be collaborative, but not always. When I gave my feedback about the training, it was more participative. It was me giving feedback together with all the other people, sometimes disagreeing, and Ben just saying, okay, I take this decision and that's where we go. Keeping the vision in mind, okay, that's where we want to go. And this is for me something important not to forget in a training like this. How do we communicate at what moment? And it's also a moment where we made a link that was already there but not so clear to non-violent communication. Trainings that are beginning all over the world at the moment, and especially here in Decathlon Exchange. I think it's a good trend to see, okay, how can we work better together, especially if I'm not your boss, I have to convince you instead of just say you have to. It's a lot harder to do, but a lot stronger when it works. And there's a mutual respect between the two where we can disagree, but we expect the role of the other in taking a decision at a certain moment, going a certain direction in another. And this is for me one of the points that was missing in the last training and that we really improved on in this version.
Okay, thank you. For me, one of the big points, part of the module that I really like, and again, it was something we discovered with Danny in Australia, is the framework. Today in the company, we're talking more and more about freedom, which is fantastic. But as a leader of a network, can you create a clear framework before people go off in different directions to work on the project? So in the training, we took the old managing without hierarchy. There's a very simple tool in this training, and we just adapted it a little bit to suit the needs of kind of the sport leader role as we move forward. Is okay, before I allow my teammates the freedom to work in this project, do we both have a clear expectancy of what he or she will do and also what he and she will not do? And for me, this was a really great part of the training that we added, is the framework or the rules of the game, if you like, which I'm really proud of, and I think it can help the business move forward quickly if we want to accelerate with the human transformation. One thing I should have mentioned is, do we have any questions?
Yeah.
Oh, we have questions, okay. But if you have any questions, just chat. Try to make them easy.
On the playground is the question.
Okay. So, who do you think this training is aimed at? So I think this training actually, because we've taken it from the classic old managing without hierarchy, it really is open to a lot of people within the company. When I was working in Australia, they'd open with sport leader, and I can imagine as a sport leader in a store, being able to lead a network could be really important. Even for a store leader, I think this could be a fantastic training. And then you have the classic roles that we've used this training for in the past, where you're kind of managing or leading without the kind of boss card. So I really believe this training can be open to many people within Decathlon moving forward, especially those countries who want to accelerate with the human transformation. How Ben succeed to involve so many people around the world on this project? Pavel. Okay. Thanks, Pavel, for the question. This wasn't prep, this one, I promise you. So the first thing to completely admit is that we made lots of mistakes. So I was still learning, but I think what Kuhn mentioned before, the communication, and I would say the flexibility probably was what's allowed us to be successful and have so many people from around the world. But again, this is something we cover in the training, is as a leader to create the right environment. And I'm just trying to think of one of the mistakes I made early on was we set a meeting time that actually wasn't suitable for the participants in China and in Australia. Me, I was still thinking about UK and French time, so I think it was maybe 3 p.m. or something. So it was that was a classic mistake that I made. But having said that, the flexibility that we've had as a network, I think, helped us. So if people weren't available, I think I remember Sander and Leanne from the Netherlands, they weren't available for one meeting. So it's great. Okay, we have the meeting, but Sander and Leanne caught up with me maybe 2 or 3 days later. So I think communication and the flexibility was a big part, as well as assigning key roles to people. So like yourself for the video, Vidjoy took the lead, and I completely left him. With Kuhn, it was more a Q&A every maybe week, maybe more than what Kuhn wanted, but it was kind of constant, hey Kuhn, can you just check this? And the same with Danny. Leanne in the Netherlands was really participant. We'll move on. And she even wanted to raise the hand and say, okay, I'd love to test this. So she's actually tested this training maybe a month ago. So again, I think clear roles linked to their job role or what they want to invest was an important part of our success. And
a lot of freedom for us to decide what we wanted to participate. Me, I didn't want to participate too much time because I didn't have it. I just changed jobs. So I said, I'm not available to spend hours and days and weeks of work. And Ben just accepted it and said, okay, can you take on the role just to answer questions when I have them? So leaving the freedom also to the person to engage himself in a way that he wants to engage. Yeah. So I would just come back to this question. Do you think this training is useful even in countries in older organization? For sure. So as Ben already mentioned a few times, it's a follow-up of an older training. And I think it's a training where I met Ben in 2013 when the UK was far from liberated, transformated, or whatever the term is you're using. And it was already useful at this moment. And it's useful for any moment where you are leading a project. And this can be as simple as in store, a sales assistant taking the lead on receiving the goods in the morning. He, as a sales assistant, is managing other sales assistants or sports advisors and he's managing them in a non-hierarchical way, in a network way of today we are a small network of people accepting the delivery. The security leader of the store, responsible for this, he has to manage the other sports leaders on, okay, you have to keep the emergency exits free, but he doesn't have the option of punishment that in the older system, the leader or the boss had. There's no punishment behind. So if you don't do it, you don't do it, and there's no consequence. So how can I convince these people, even in the old organization, when I'm not hierarchically their boss, this training is still super useful. And as I said, even if you are the boss, even if you're in an old system saying, okay, I'm the boss of this part, convincing is far better than threatening, do it or else. And I think this should be the way that everyone manages, and we should forget old system, new system. This is the way that's humanly the best way to do it, and long term. Yeah.
Perfect. We have a question here. What is the first step in creating a network? So this is actually one of the modules that we cover in the training.
Follow the training.
Yeah, so I don't want to give too much away, but I would say actually first to find a project. There's no point in us creating a network if there is no added value to it. So like I said, I'm super proud of this project because it came from a need. It wasn't just us sat in Decathlon Exchange said, hey, how should we fill the next couple of months? It was a user in Decathlon Australia that said, hey, look, the content you're giving me is not up to date. So straight away we saw a problem or an opportunity. And then I would say to kind of quickly answer that question is, then we have to communicate it to say, okay, who is interested in this? So I think Koen alluded to it before, but we mentioned it on the G+. We sent it to a few of the training managers around the world and said, okay, we are working on this content. Do you have someone that would like to be involved? So I've met some amazing people that I'd never met before just because they got in contact with me and said, hey, look, I'd really like to be a part of that. But to get a better answer to this question, please sign up to the training. That would be great. And then the last one that I've got is there an online module as well for this as for this training? Okay, so yeah, I mentioned it before, we're trying to make it more blended. So there will be an online kind of mandatory module before you come to the physical training, because we're trying to be more digital, but also I remember when we had the old managing without hierarchy training, it was quite an intense day. There was a lot to cover. So we took 2 modules out of it to give more breathing space and put one of them before and one of them afterwards. So there will be 2 digital modules, if you like. And also with most of the trainings that we are recreating in Decathlon Exchange, we're trying to have more online content with webinars. So I'm sure that this is probably something that we'll add is a kind of webinar for this topic as well. More questions? Okay, wow.
It's great.
It's good. Well, let me just double check the question. Will the training be online several times a year? Classic form. Okay, so the main content will be physical. The question was, sorry, will it be, I read that to my head, sorry. Will the training be online again? So it's a question about online. Yes, we will have webinars, but the main, and it says, will it be replicated in countries in the classic form? Yes. And again, it's one of the reasons that we're here today is almost on a recruitment mission as well. We really want to spread this content very quickly, very well in all the countries. So we're looking today to recruit people who are passionate on this topic, who are either a trainer of the old classic managing without hierarchy, or would like to become a trainer, because we really in 2019 want to spread this training quickly in the physical format. And then the digital will be to supplement it through webinars and online trainings on Deca course. And
so the next question is if we're going to duplicate in other countries, especially in Southeast Asia zone. So it's a question from Vietnam. Yes, but don't wait for us. And I mean this in a lot broader sense than just this training. In anything you want in your country, go for it. And if you need someone from us to come to duplicate, we can always find solutions. And me, I just mentioned that change job, so I'm in production now. If you put your hands up and say, hey, we need this training in Vietnam, well, get in contact with Ben, get in contact with me, and we will see if one of the trainers maybe coincidentally is also traveling to Vietnam, which is probably true for me next year. So beginning of next year, I could be in Vietnam. If I know this, I'll just plan 2 extra days. And without a big extra cost for the company, we can help you to duplicate locally with our help, really being present in your country. But as I said, it's really something you should take the lead on. You should say, we need this. What can I do? And in this case, you can just contact me or Ben, and we'll be more than happy to come or combine when we're already there on a business trip anyway.
Yeah. So just to add to that as well, already a couple of guys who've been in the network have asked me, okay, Ben, can we plan this for February just to come for a couple of days? So as Koen said, just get in contact with myself or Koen or anyone in the Decathlon Exchange. Because we are actually working on other content of training, so the DMT1, DMT2 will be adapted. Sebastian's working on that now. We have a meeting in November to look at how we could potentially launch all of these new content trainings. So potentially there could be an option where we invite everyone from Europe to Lille or to London to spend the day or 2 days together to really launch this content. But like Koen said, if that's too slow for you, please just get in contact and we can work a solution for sure. We have any more questions?
Yes.
Yes, wow, a lot of questions.
Where can we access the roadbook?
Good question. So the roadbook, we are just finalising it, so you can see even now it's in the old classic format. So we want to kind of jazz it up a little bit before we really launch it. But we will put it will be available like the other roadbooks on the website as soon as we finalise the content. So we'll add it to the Decathlon Exchange website where you can download it and then go at your own pace. And there's also a participant roadbook as well, which we'll add to the website as well.
And if you want to go quicker, don't hesitate. Also, we can do coaching online. We have this wonderful tool. We're talking to, 50 people right now at this moment. So if you need just for one session, you want to go straight away in your country, we can help you to explain what to pay attention to, how to go quicker locally. Because of course we want to be quick.
Okay, so we have a question here. What were the main mistakes you made while leading this training update, and how did you overcome them? How long have we got? So actually, the thing is, I think we made a lot of mistakes. I made mistakes as a leader, but like I said at the beginning, we just had a flexible approach every time. So like I said, the first mistake for me was still thinking in kind of UK or European mindset in terms of simple things like not having the dates available, the times available for people in Hong Kong who wanted to be involved, for example. I think probably, if I'm really honest, maybe we could have been a bit clearer on the framework. So something that we ironically talk about in the training is, okay, before we say, okay, Koen's going to be involved, is maybe we could have had more contact together to say, okay, what will be your responsibility in this network? So I think potentially we could have had a clearer framework for the 14 people, so that as a leader, I understood, okay, what Video is working on, what Leanne is working on. But I think organically it worked quite well. The people that I'm mentioning today are the ones that really got involved and the ones that were almost pestering me to be involved rather than me chasing them up. But I think, yeah, probably if I was to be uber critical was to say, okay, guys, the 14 people that are involved, before we start working, what is your involvement? What is your involvement? And almost to create a rules of the game for the network so that then we could have complete freedom. So I think if I was to do it again, it's probably something I would have been a little bit stronger with. But apart from that, I mean, maybe Koen, I did make some mistakes. And
No, I think we made plenty of mistakes, all of us. But I think that's the way to learn. It's the first time anyone has recreated a training like this. And I think it's great to have the feedback from all over the world. So this is an opportunity we didn't have in the past, not digitally, but also just not from experience. So we should always keep in mind that the cliches is experience, good decisions come from experience. Unfortunately, experience comes from bad decisions. So I think we made mistakes, but that's how we grow, that's how we learn. And no, I was really happy with the way it went. And because the people that subscribed voluntarily to help Ben, there was no pressure. We were pushing him, we were asking him, we were engaged. So we were all open to hear feedback, to give feedback, and to be proactive. And I think with that, you can already achieve a lot. The motivation was there. Yeah.
Okay. So one more question. Wow. Okay. No, tell me what that question is. I can't read it. What does the question say?
The first one or the third one?
First one.
Can we make a quickie summary of the steps in time to take for the future?
The next steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So we, the first step is just to finalize some of the small things in the road book, both the trainer road book and the trainee one. We have a meeting here in Decathlon Exchange where we will discuss, like I said, we're changing Develop My Team 1, Develop My Team 2, recruitment. So we want to make sure that we're all aligned with our trainings. And then we'll do a proper launch with the countries, probably towards the end of the year, maybe even the beginning of next year, where we'll hopefully, 9:45 time. Okay, sorry. I think I was meant to not say that. We'll have a launch maybe in January or February with the countries in Europe, and like Koen said, maybe in Asia as well. And then the idea is to support each country if they want this content in their country. Myself, Koen, anyone in the network is really available for you to accompany you to get this content, because I really believe the way that we've done it has made it a really great road book. But also I think the content is going to be super helpful for those countries that want to accelerate from maybe the classic pyramid into more network. So I really think this training can be a powerful tool, but we'll look probably towards January, February of next year to look at a kind of retro plan. Of course, if you want it sooner, please get in touch with myself or Koen. So they're the next steps. And please get in contact if you are a trainer or you know someone who would like to be a trainer on this topic. The more people we know about, the more we can involve them. But the question before was about how did you set up the network? Well, this is the next step as well. We want our network to be even bigger, and we want to have at least one trainer in each country on this topic.
And if we have 80,000 people to train, that means 8,000 trainings. We can't do it, just the both of us.
No, we can try. Okay, I think that's it.
That was the last one.
Is it a good one?
Too much.
I think
it's maybe
one-on-one, just contact us. And
yeah, so the question was the program of the training, can we present it today? I'll share that, so this roadbook will be available. We'll be able to share it on the G+, maybe rather than me just going through it line by line. But like I said, the main topics, the main pillars were, okay, how can I create a network and create the right environment? Then how can I build a project with these people? Then, okay, communication. What is my communication in the network mode? And then one of the main last pillars is how can I adapt to the people in my network? So for example, talking from personal experience, yes, we had people in China working on this. We had people from Australia. We had part-time people, full-time people. Koen, who just started a new role. So I needed to adapt to their needs. And this is a big module of the training. But we will share the roadbook. You can go through it to be able to see the content. And of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with myself or anyone from Decathlon Exchange. So I think we're slowly running out of time. So that leaves me just to say a massive thank you for connecting today. How many did we have? 56. We started with 60, but it's gone down. Maybe it wasn't. So thank you very much for connecting. A massive thank you to Koen for coming today, and the people that I've mentioned today that were involved in the network. So Vijoy, Danny, Lian, Sophia from China. They've been a really massive part of this roadbook. For sure, it's not just been me. It's been a group effort, and I think the consequence of that will be a really clear, great training to have in your countries. So the next step is for you to get in contact with us to tell us your needs, and then we can help support you. So I think that's it. We just want to say one more thank you to Guillemette. You want to come in the camera? She's been she's been the one that's been panicking because the camera wasn't working. So thank you very much for that. And for sure, Ben Hatton. So if you've got any questions, feel free to get me on chat or send me an email. There's no problems. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you
guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.